Good morning, friends. It's Julie. Welcome back to Row & Co Farms. I wanted to take this morning and do a little garden tour. As you can see behind me, things are starting to really come in the garden. It's a beautiful morning. It's still cool outside. And before the sun comes up over the tree line, I wanted to go ahead and take you guys on a beautiful little morning walk with me through the garden. So there's the flower farm over there. Here's our vegetable gardens. Let's go for a walk together. So you can see here in our first bed, we have snapdragons. They're all just about to bust loose in here. I'm gonna have lots of them for our market this weekend, our very first farmer's market. And look at all those snaps in there. Looking really nice. So next to the snaps here is our asparagus. It's really beautiful. It's gone to seed now. We've let it grow up, go to seed. You can see here that it has its little seed pods. Got a few weeds in there. So you can see in here, well, we do still have a few growing. There's one right there. And maybe it'll focus. There it is. So there's definitely still some growing. There's a few more in here, but they're very small, and we like to wait until they're at least the size of like a number 2 pencil. This one's just under the size that we would want. So we're gonna let that grow. It'll go to seed, and then we'll harvest from these next year. Now we did plant, we planted, and you can see there's one coming up back there, but all along in here, we planted a whole bunch of new asparagus crowns a few weeks ago, and those will start coming up next year. So eventually this whole bed will have lots of asparagus in it. This is our parsley. It's gone to seed, and look at all those beautiful little seed pods. I'm gonna be using those in some bouquets this weekend too. Next we have some of our beans, and they are really starting to make their way up the trellises here. It's looking really good. These were the Old Homestead Kentucky green beans. So those are looking really good. And they're over here on this side too. All right, I'm getting a little ahead of myself, so I'm gonna back up just a little bit and try to talk about stuff on both sides of the beds while we go through. All right, so we started with the snaps. We went down to the asparagus and the beans. We did skip the cucumbers. Those are looking great. I just started kind of training them up the trellis over here. Sometimes you have to, you know, pull things in, move them around a little bit. Otherwise, they'll take over this whole bed over here. Now on this side, our cucumbers are not doing as well. They're still good, but they're not as, I think it's their sun exposure. They have more sun on this side, and this side they're getting shaded out by the bachelor buttons and everything else that's going on over here. Our little tower garden is doing okay, but most of the things in here just are already bolting. It's just too hot. The herbs are fine, so we'll probably just fill in with some additional herbs in some places. And oh, looky, one of our nasturtiums has started to bloom. So yeah, our bachelor buttons are looking great. They're so big, they're falling over. I've tied them up, but they're still falling over. But we will be harvesting from those for a few more weeks, and then once the rest of our flowers start coming in, we'll be using more of those. So next over here, this is our homemade cucumber. No, I'm sorry. Homemade pickles variety from Seeds for Generations, and those are really coming along. I need to start training those up the trellis here a little bit. It's just a matter of tucking them in and they'll make their way. Now in here, these are our Chadwick cherry tomatoes, and these are my favorite tomatoes. They just look so good. Their stems are so strong. This one is too. I mean, they're just really looking nice. Look at that one back there. It's huge. I did add some drip irrigation into these beds, and it's working really well. Now this one is a black cherry tomato, so I will have one other variety in here, but the tomatoes are looking really good. And then this one, sad one, for some reason is not doing anything, so we may just yank that little one out and replace it. All right, so we do have one cucumber right here that's trying to come up. We'll get that trained up the trellis there. Same over here. We have one cucumber that came up. I think they were getting shaded out by the asparagus, so they really don't like that. That's not a cucumber, I'm sorry. That's a Kajari melon. Same as here, Kajari melons. Those had a slow start, but they are starting to take off now. And then we have more tomatoes. And I did kind of double plant some of these. You can see there's like 2 here. But these are all starting to take off now too. And I don't know where my tag is. I'm not sure what variety these are. I'd have to go back and see what I planted. Then coming over, those are our old Homestead Kentucky green beans. They've started making their way up the trellis. I cannot wait for this to form its little tunnel here. We also put a few tomatoes on this side, and it looks like I had a couple more, but they did not make it, so I yanked them. So 3 more in there. Then on this side, in this bed, is where I have planted a lot of my peppers. I do not know which varieties are in here, I'll be completely honest, because my soil blocks got knocked over by my cats and they all just got mixed together. So I have California Wonder, I have some jalapenos, I have some Anaheims, I think. I have about 6 different varieties of peppers. This one, more tomatoes. There's some eggplants down there, ground cherries here. This is my first time growing the ground cherries, but they are actually starting to produce already. This is what they look like. It looks like a tomatillo, like this little papery skin, and then there's a fruit on the inside. And you guys may need to help me out with this. When do you harvest these? Is it time already? Do you harvest them like continuously, or do you wait for them to ripen in some way? I'm not sure. So yeah, if you know, please tell me. Next, these are eggplants. I bought these eggplants as little bitty starts, but I've never grown eggplants. So first time. But I think they're coming along. They look good. I've got something eating some holes in some of the leaves, but it's pretty much par for the course. And these are our red noodle beans. And they do have a different shape leaf than our other beans do, but they are really starting to grow. They're taking shape, making their way up the pole there. Now I'm super proud. You guys watched me and my granddaughter plant these potatoes a few weeks ago, and look at them now. They are huge, huge. We're gonna have a good potato harvest this year. I cannot wait. And our beans are in here too. You can hardly see them, but they are there. They're gonna be making their way up that trellis. So yeah, lots and lots of potatoes. Okay, in this bed, I have more beans. These are oh goodness, I can't remember what I planted. Blue Lake? No, I don't know. I'll have to go back and look. I'll pop it on the screen if I figure it out. So yeah, we've got some of those here, again on this side. And then we have more peppers in this bed. And these peppers, as you can see, they have taken off and they're more established than the ones in the other bed. And peppers here really don't start producing well until August, sometimes September. They just really need a long, hot summer, and then they'll really start going. Oh, so there's an overview of all of our raised beds in the veggie garden. There's still a few more, but we're gonna head that way now and take a look. You can see the flower farm behind me. It's hard to see because there's still small plants in there, but it's coming along well. All right, chickens, you guys got to get out of here. Get. Bean, run them out of here. Bean, no, easy. Just walk them. Come on, walk them down. Just get them out of here. Easy. Come here, this way. This way. Go easy. Thank you. Good girl. Come on. So if you guys recall my last garden tour or whatever it was, I talked about a bunch of mistakes that I had made in the flower farm, and we're trying to recover from those. We have reseeded and replanted a whole bunch of things. I tore out some stuff that just wasn't thriving and have replaced it with other things. So hopefully that will help. It will delay some of my plant progress and I won't have blooms on some things as soon as I had wanted, but we will still have blooms and we'll just get them a little bit later in the summer. Oh, allergies. Something's bothering me today. All right, so let's talk about some more flowers. So down here in this bed, in the front here, this is Rudbeckia. We're going to be cutting from that. Behind that is Mums. That's just something I bought just as a plant for myself. It's not for cutting. We're testing out these beautiful poppies. They're already kind of dying now, but I have never grown poppies before, and these just look, these are white ones, they're already kind of done, but poppies may be something on the agenda for next year. This is my patch of Feverfew. Let me flip you around. So this is our Feverfew, and it's really, really doing well. We planted this together a while back. And if you remember in that video, in my seed tray, there was one lonely snapdragon. And I said, hey, let's just plant it in here and see what happens. And it's holding on for dear life. It's going to get shuttered out pretty soon. But look at that. We got one little snapdragon in there. But yeah, the Feverfew will get really tall, really tall. It's not close yet to its blooming phase. Next here, this is a type of phlox that will be blooming very soon, hopefully before this weekend. And that'll be something that we cut from because it has some really nice long stems and they're really, really sturdy and strong. Oh, I'm so excited about this next area. These are Dahlias, all different kinds, and they are about to bloom. You can see the little pods, not seed pods, the flowers are right there. So hopefully we will have some Dahlias this weekend for our market. We have several different varieties in here. We also have another phlox there, another phlox there. So those are really, really looking great. We have some canna lilies there, which we're not using for the flower farm. It's our foxglove, and it's pretty much done. It's starting to fall. So we're gonna make sure it goes to seed in this bed so that we will get more. This little patch here I planted with dahlias just recently because what I had planted there did not come up. So I planted more. So you can see this one's starting to come through. I don't see any of the others yet. Oh wait, this may be one of them here. So we're just going to give these a little more time, but that's good because then my dahlias will come in stages. This is Sweet William, and it looks like it's almost done. The first round is almost done. We're starting to get some little smaller side shoots here, so we may be able to use some of those. And then down here we have dahlias again, and these are kind of just behind the stage where the other ones are, so these are going to bloom just a little bit later, which will be great. We'll have a succession kind of dahlias. There's another one coming through here. We were able to finish this other bed here, so now we have beds on both sides of the fence. There's a grapevine here. I don't remember what variety, but we had put that in a couple years ago, and it just is really now starting to thrive because my husband accidentally chops things down. Let's see. So I installed these daisies recently, and they actually had a lot of transplant shock when I put them in. So I need to see if they're going to recover. So this one did okay, but this one did not. And I need to come in and deadhead all of these. So also planted in here hydrangeas. And I have a video about that. I just probably haven't posted it yet. More daisies down here, right here and here, and more hydrangeas. These are still dormant. Again, hydrangea here, still dormant. Another hydrangea. So we just finished looking at this bed. Now we're going to go over here to this side, and this is our garlic and onion bed. We did plant this together last year, so I will throw some video links in for those. But this is getting close to being done. So if you can see now how the garlic is starting to turn yellow. So when we see about 50% of the stalks yellow, which we do in some cases like right here, we're gonna pull these out. So we are really getting close to the end of our season with the garlic. The reason you don't wait for the whole stalk to turn yellow is because then you won't be able to pull it out of the ground. It'll break off before you can get it out. So that's the reason you only want to let it go to about 50%. So yeah, these are looking really good. I mean, the stalks are nice and thick. They're at least an inch thick on a lot of them, not all of them. This one's about a ½ inch thick, I think. But we should get some really good garlic. Now down through here are onions. And this is the first time I've ever grown onions from seed. I usually buy sets, and they look all right. I definitely don't have enough for a year, but I have quite a few. This was a volunteer that just has been growing for a while. Obviously, it's ready. I'm going to pull that out this week and use that. Yeah, our onions are looking really good. Some of them are still sort of small, but that's okay. Onions are usually a pretty long growing item. There's another onion that volunteered right here. We're going to be pulling that up soon too. Okay, moving down here. This is pretty much all herbs. And you can see our first dill has gone to seed already. And look how pretty the dill flower is. You would never think that dill would have this neat looking flower. It reminds me of the parsley a little bit. So there's some dill. I need to harvest all of that. Our Our little onion chives have gone to seed, and this is their flower. Look how cool that is. It's like crazy bedhead or something, like an explosion. So yeah, dill, there's chives, here's more dill, our sage, which has also flowered, and it looks really beautiful. Sage looks good. And then I also planted a bunch more dill seed in here, and it's all starting to come up. We have thyme. Again, more dill down here. More of our chives are going to seed and flowering. Yeah, down here is where we've started more dill. I literally just sprinkled a bunch of seeds in here just to see what would happen. And it is starting to take off. Oh, this is chamomile, and it's, I believe, looks like it is. And it came back. It just seeded itself, I believe, from last year. So those will be really nice. And it'll get really big too. This next bed, I just last week seeded in our zucchinis, squashes, and some okra. So these here, I believe, are our zucchinis. And I'd have to go back and look at what I chose. And then I also put in just a yellow, I believe it's just a yellow crookneck style squash over there. And then in the center is okra, and they're starting to come up too. We love okra. And I did want to mention, as you can tell here, this was something I just seeded this week. Most people probably already seeded their squash and all that stuff, and that's fine. It's not a, I guess I just want to say that don't think that it's too late to plant. You can still plant. If you have a decently long growing season and you have at least, 90 days, there's tons of things that you can plant. If you have 120 days worth of growing season left, you're all good, guys. Go ahead and plant something. I just didn't get around to planting these when I, should have. So I just went ahead and did it now. Don't be afraid to plant when you have the time or you have a little space. Just throw a seed or two in there. It doesn't have to fit this schedule per se. You can always just, if you see a little spot somewhere, you got some room, go ahead and throw some seeds in or throw a plant in somewhere. Oh goodness, I see where some chickens have been in the yarrow. Yep, that's not good. All right, speaking of yarrow, let's take a look. So I have this one long bed right here, and I do still need to do all the cardboard and mulching all around. But anyway, this is my Yarrow Patch. And it's finally starting to come in here, but you can see right there, that's where my chickens were scratching around. Took out a few plants. But yarrow in here, lots of yarrow, more yarrow. Oh good, the yarrow is starting to flower here. So yeah, well, these are all gonna be, yarrow is medicinal, so I'll use some of it for that, but this is also for the flower farm. So we will have lots of beautiful, beautiful yarrow. I've got more snapdragons right here, just a few, and they are ready to go. These are gonna come to the market this weekend. We've got our salvia, some dianthus here, and down here, some sunflowers. This is about 100 sunflowers. We're trying to sow at least 200 or 300 sunflowers each week. So that way we have lots of sunflowers coming every single week once they start. Okay, so, oh, I did skip one row. Last little bit. We won't talk too heavily about it. Last row is right here along the fence. Try to get a good overview. There we go. We put this trellis in. There are tomatoes planted in here. Just just along the bottom here, here, here. And the weeds are just taking over this bed. I have got to get in here. We have Bermuda grass here, and it is the worst. It's fine if you want it for grass, but it just takes over in the beds, and it just runs wild. You can't hardly tame it. So, tomatoes in here. I am going to be, I know it sounds weird because there was a lot of basil on the flower farm, but I like to plant basil in between my tomatoes and my peppers also. And I will probably just come out here and just throw some seeds in some places and see what I can get. I love basil. It's so good. It smells so good. Tastes so good. You can make pesto with it and freeze it and have it for a year. So that's what we're going to be doing with ours. Anyway, that was Flower Farm Tour for this week. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Stick around. Later this week, I will be doing my first harvesting for my first farmer's market. So we'll harvest all the flowers that I have available. There's some stuff in other parts of the property too that I'm probably gonna have to use. But yeah, stand by for future flower farm tours, future garden tours, and for our market. Okay. That's all I can think of today, guys. I'm glad you joined me today, and I can't wait to see you next time here at Row & Co Farms.